Hello everyone, in this video we're gonna keep working on how to read files, and now we're gonna learn how to write files and create tables. So in our previous video we used the read CSV functions from the base package of R and also from the tidyverse. Okay, so in this one let's load the tidyverse. Alright, so let's use the same function read CSV, but now I'm going to show you how we can read multiple files. So let's say here we have 3 files. They are online. This is the link to access the files. Alright, but let's say that I'm going to just read one of those. So if that's the case, let me add some code here. So I'm going to use the read CSV function. You can assign it to to a name if you want, like data frame or whatever name you want to add, or sales1. I'm missing the quotation mark here. Alright, I'm reading the first file. This is just the first file. This is what I'm getting here, the first file. It's information. This is like a time series. So we have month, year, the brand, item, and the number, I guess, the number of units. But now let's say that instead of reading a single file, I want to read the 3 of them. So instead of like reading them separately and then combining, which is possible, it's better to like read them because they have the same structure. Like these 3 files, they have the same structure. So I want this function to combine the 3 files. So here I can just, one option is just to, with C, like concatenate or combine the 3 files. So this is file number 1, then we add file number 2 and file number 3. This is file number 2, comma, file number 3. So let's close the read C, the C and the function, the read CSV function. Now we're reading the 3 files. So you remember that originally we only had January, but now we have February and March, 3 months. So it's like 1 month per file. There's one option, right? You can just write it like that, or if you want, you can create this array initially, like to concatenate the 3 names, and then assign to sales read CSV, so the object where you store the names of the files. And in addition, this is optional, you can add like a column that the name is file. That ID information is like from which file that observation is coming from. So let me show it to you how it looks. So same thing that we did in the previous cell, like this, but now we have the additional column with the file. This is the ID, and we have the file information. So we have sales. This is sales 1, 2, and 3, right? So we're keeping information from which file we're getting each observation. Okay, so it's simple how to read the multiple files at the same time using the read CSV function. Let's continue. Now let's learn how to write files. So sometimes you're working with tables or even an existing data set in R. Maybe you perform some filters, some transformation operations, and then you want to save that information. You want to create a file with information so you can like submit the file to someone else, or for any other reasons. Okay, so let's learn how to write the file. Remember, I'm going to use a data set from the tidyverse, because we already loaded the tidyverse at the beginning of the session. So I'm going to use the miles per gallon data set. So remember, we also have information about cars, so it's not relevant. So let's say that here you want to store only information about one manufacturer, Audi. So when I create a file only for Audi, I don't want Chevrolet and the other manufacturers in my information. All right. So what we can do is, okay, let's save the information, Audi. So for miles per gallon, we need to filter. Name of the variable, manufacturer. Equal, I'm sorry, that's inside the filter, equal. The name of the manufacturer that we wanna keep, in this case is Audi. And let's see if it works. So now we're getting a table here, a table. That's how R, that's the name of these tables in R. But please notice that we only have information about Audi. So we have removed the other manufacturers. All right, but now we want to save that information. We want to write a file. So we're going to do the write. Here we're getting information. Write CSV. The name of the object that you wanna from you wanna get the data. So this is Audi. And then the name of the file that you wanna create. So please notice that, let me show you my files here in Colab. It's empty. I haven't created a file yet. So when I create a file, you can assign any name you want. So I'm going to use audi.csv. And that should be it. So I run the code. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm not getting, the file. But if you go to the folder, you will see that now you have the audi.csv file, which you can, download and do whatever you want with the file. And if you're working on your laptop, your machine in general, so you can just write a path here, and that file is going to be saved in that, following that path. So it's simple. It's simple the way in which you can, create files, CSV files or Excel files, or there are other formats here where you use the function write. Now, in the past, I have experienced some problems. Sometimes when you have like messy data. Let me give an example. That was maybe, 3 years ago. I was working with some students and we were importing data from, at that time, the name was Twitter, but now it's X, the social network platform. That information is messy because tweets, they have, different characters, they have different symbols, pictures, they are messy. So when we were trying to save all those tweets in a CSV file, that we were getting some errors, but it was time to finish our session, and the problem is if you don't save them, and you try to retrieve them again from Twitter or X, it's difficult because you get a different sample of tweets, and we wanted to keep the same sample. So what we did is instead of using CSV, there are another formats in R. There is one format that will keep the information in exactly the same format as you are visualizing the information in your session. So it's going to keep the R, format in case you're having problems. So let me do that here. So we're going to use the RDS. This is the format, the RDS. So it's an R format. You can read RDS. So the idea is to keep your tables, your data frame, your information in the exact same format of R. Now there are some advantages of the RDS. So let me tell you something. For example, here, if you have this data set, and let's say that, for example, I have the variable model. So instead of character, which is just like text, I change the format to factor, right? So to express that this is a categorical variable. So it's going to be like a factor during my session. But if I save that table if I write it in a CSV file, then I the next day or in a different session, I import the CSV file, it won't keep the format. It will show again as a character. The CSV is not keeping that information for you, but the RDS will keep that information. So you will see the information exactly as it was created and even transformed during a session in R. So that's why sometimes it's useful to use the RDS. I have found it useful in the past. So let me show you how it works. It's the same thing, the same structure. So you can write RDS. I'm going to use the same table, the Audi. But of course the extension changes. So here I'm writing the RDS file. So now you have the audi.csv and the RDS. And then if you want to read it, it's just the name read RDS and the name of the file. I mean, it's the same structure. The only thing the word change is the extension, the format, and the name of the function. But the idea is the same. And here I'm reading that specific table. All right, so far we have seen like how to read files, how to write files, and now let's see how can we create some tables. So this is there are two possibilities. So this is one of them. In this one, we're using the function table. So I'm going to create a table. So you have to define first the name of the column. So we have W, X, Y, Z, and then the values for the whole column. So for example, here W, the variable column, the variable W, which is in the first column, will have two values, 1 and 5. So the first row is going to be equal to 1, and the second row is going to be equal to 5, like this. This is the W column, first value 1, second value 5. Then we have comma, and this now is time for the second column. So the name is X, and the values are 2 and 6, X, 2 and 6. Same thing with the two remaining columns, Y and Z. So we get like the two columns with the values 3, 7, and 4, 8. You can keep adding if you want more values. Like, let's say a third row for the first variable, for the first column. Now for the second one, for the third one. And if I run it again, so now we should get the same table with an additional column, right? With the new value that we have added. So it works. So this is one way to create the tables. This is per column. It's one way, but you can also create our tables per row. That's another option. Let's say that you are collecting data, like in the field, and you want to like start storing per row because you're getting like different variables, but like per observation. So one observation at a time. So if you want to like save that information right away, then you can use a table. So you will get a table, same format, but the difference in the name is because this is like a transpose table. So instead of like adding per column, now here we're writing information per row. Okay, so we have the names of the columns here, separated using comma, but here you have to like write per row. So in the first row, there is 1, comma, now for the second column, in the same row, X equal to 2, then the third column of the same row, it's Y equal to 3, and Z equal to 4, comma, and then you move to the second row, and the values are 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you wanna, this is how it looks, let me show it to you, like this. But if you want, you can create a new row, like with new values, like 10. The spaces are not needed. It's just only for you, like, because it's gonna be messy if I, like type everything together. Then it doesn't look like well organized. So it's just for for a little bit to like to keep it in the same column. But again, it doesn't affect the table creation. It's just for you. Alright, so we have added a new row here. So you have the two options. You can create the table using per column or per row. So either way is fine. It depends of your needs. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here our video. I'll see you in the next session.